Aloha! If you guys have seen part 1, you know the rules, and you want to jump right into the rankings, then just skip to the timestamp on screen. But for those of you who don't know what the hell we're doing today, let me explain. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is not only one of my favorite shows ever, but it was also my first real introduction to the weird world of Adult Swim. I'm positive this series was also a gateway for many of you watching as well. It's a phenomenal and extremely surreal series that has spanned over 2 decades with 12 seasons, 2 movies, and loads of characters. Hundreds and hundreds of insane characters. So I figured it would be fun to revisit this incredible series and rank almost every single character from it. Now, here are the rules. The categories of this tier list are S, A, B, C, and D. Minor characters and off-screen characters won't be included in the ranking, although I'm definitely going to break this rule several times throughout the video with some of the non-important characters, just because I think they're interesting enough to rank. Duos, trios, quads, or groups of characters will not be ranked separately. For example, Dr. Weird and Steve, or the Moonanites, will not be split up and ranked individually. Overall, my ranking of these characters will be based on design, personality, and whether they actually do anything to enhance the plot or not. Also, disclaimer, my ranking of these characters is completely subjective. You may or may not agree with the positions of where I place these characters on the graph, and that is totally okay. Just be respectful, don't be rude, and hey, if you want, you can comment below your own ranking of these characters. But with all that said, this is part 2 of an ongoing series I'm doing, and you guys killed the like goal in the first part, so maybe we could up the antics a little bit. Instead of 60 likes, let's go for 70 likes. And with all that said, let's dive right into the second part of ranking Aqua Teen characters. Randall.
And pay your half of the utilities!
Alright, so do you guys remember how I said I was going to break the first rule? Oh yeah, here we go. We're doing it right now. Let's talk about Randall. He makes his debut in the episode Super Birthday Snake. He's Dr. Weird's roommate, who was spliced with a double helix of a fried pork chop. And here's the wild part. He's everywhere. Besides Super Birthday Snake, he shows up in tons of other episodes inside of newspapers and photos, as if he's always watching. Jesus, that's creepy. But since Randall is such a minor character in the series, we don't get to learn much more about him. Design-wise though, he's freaky, and I like freaky. He's part human, I think. Also part pork chop, which is pretty metal if you ask me. With that being said, I think I'm gonna put Randall in the big old D tier, right behind Svetlana, just because he doesn't really do anything exciting. I mean, his design is badass, but that's about all he has going for him. Nathan Scott Phillips. Just like Randall, Nathan Scott makes his debut in the episode Super Birthday Snake. Can you guess who he is? Yeah, he's the snake. Now, Nathan technically doesn't exist. He's more of one of those computer simulated snakes as opposed to, you know, an actual f***ing snake. And as we all know, Super Birthday Snake mostly takes place in a simulation, so none of the events of this episode really happen. But basically, Nathan is the snake that Shake brings home for Meatwad, and, well, he eats them. Frylock, in an attempt to save the two, blows up the whole snake, which accidentally kills everyone. Nathan, much like Randall, is another character that doesn't really do a whole lot, but design-wise, he's also just a snake. Now, you're nothing too crazy there. So I think I'm gonna throw Nathan into the D category as well, but just right behind Balloonenstein. Boxy Brown.
Happy birthday.
Boxy Brown, voiced by Dave Willis, and also Killer Mike from Run the Jewels and Plantasm, is one of Meatwad's dolls, but unlike Dewey and Vanessa, Boxy literally talks, but only to the person he's directly speaking to. Boxy is hands down one of the funniest characters in the series, especially when he threatens or claps back at Meatwad or any other character, really. He makes his first proper debut in the episode Super Bowl, and has appeared in many classics like Kidney Car, The Last One Forever and Ever, Plantasm of course, and more. Honestly, Boxy is hilarious and a unique part of Aqua Teen, and for that reason alone, I'm putting him in the A category right behind Happy Time Harry. He's so hilarious. Oog. Oog, who first appears in the episode Supercomputer, is a caveman who gains self-awareness thanks to Frylock's supercomputer sphere, the Oogie Mctak, which features Solitaire, or excuse me, I mean, The Legend of Saltar. Despite becoming a pretty intelligent guy, Oog hasn't forgotten his roots, or where he came from, which is pretty amazing. You know, because he dresses like a modern caveman, I think. He's a classic caveman with the most disgustingly drawn cartoon finger and toenails I've ever seen. Oog makes a few more appearances throughout the series, like in the last one, as well as some minor cameos. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I think he's a hilarious character, especially whenever he freaks out. So I'm putting Oog in the B category, just ahead of the Leprechauns. He's a classic character. I love him. Travis of the Cosmos.
Please to free mustache, alright?
So Travis is an alien on a mission to secure a job with a 401k plan. That's it. That's the whole objective. He first appears in the episode Super Spore, with other appearances in the last one, and he also makes a brief cameo in Anubis. His native language is just mock Japanese, and he likes to piss everywhere, which is, I don't even know if that's metal, that's just disgusting. As I said in part 1, I love the designs of a lot of the alien races that are featured in Aqua Teen, like the Plutonians and the Moonanites, and while I don't think Travis's design is super exotic, he still looks pretty cool to me, so I'm gonna throw Travis in the C category right above Randall. Wayne the Brain McClane.
He's with me. Stop looking at her.
Wayne the Brain McClane, voiced by Seth MacFarlane, makes his first and only appearance in the episode Super Trivia. He's this big-headed, know-it-all asshole who slams the Aqua Teens in bar trivia. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. Wayne isn't the most interesting character in the series, at least in my opinion. Design-wise, he's not the craziest or most standout character either. I mean, he's kind of wearing like a Quagmire-esque shirt, but that's about it. There's not really much to say here, besides the fact that he's voiced by a legend, but I don't even think Seth MacFarlane can save Wayne, so I think we have to put him in the D category right above Romulux. He shows up once, shows off his knowledge, and that's just about it. Ned Hastings.
Under weasels and their two balls.
Once again, I'm breaking my own rules, but it would be a complete disservice to not mention Ned Hastings. He's a real person who works on Aqua Teen and appears as himself in the episode Super Trivia as the host of Bar Trivia Night. However, he's not exactly real in the traditional sense, as he's a creation of Wayne's imagination. Also appears in various episodes as well as the first movie, so I'm kind of conflicted right now. Ned, are you real? Anyways, I think it would be unfair to rank Ned Hastings in a low category like D, so instead, placing him in C right behind Carl's dad seems a little bit more appropriate. While Ned might be a very interesting and incredible guy in real life, his Aqua Teen persona kind of lacks any depth or personality, which isn't his fault by any means. It's just how the show is written. Universal Remonster.
You should respect my addiction.
The Universal Remonster, a creation of the Plutonians, first appears in the episode titled Universal Remonster. This character is a dog-like werewolf creature with a body composed of almost entirely of TV remotes. The Universal Remonster can only be defeated by stabbing its heart or any other part of its body with a sharp object found around the house or if its batteries run out. The first half of what I said comes from Oglethorpe and Emery, so, take it with a grain of salt. Despite its menacing appearance, the Universal Remonster doesn't really cause any significant harm. In fact, it mainly just helps Shake by providing pretzels, chair vibrations, and torturing the ever-living Jesus out of Meatwad. I appreciate the design of the Universal Remonster, but given its limited role, I think I'm gonna have to place it in the D category right below Romulux. The Trees. The Trees, who first appear in the episode Revenge of the Trees and make a return in the last one, are a group of sentient trees with a serious grudge. They first abduct Carl for dumping oil into their forest, and then use his skin as paper, and then they drag Shake into the middle of the woods to attend tree court for also being involved in the dumping. And believe me, they really, really, really want them dead. Like, they're determined to see them feel the sweet release of death, or as the one tree put it, evisceration by 1,000 branches of a mighty oak, which is one of the greatest lines uttered in adult animation, period. Eventually, Frylock, playing the role of the lawyer, just loses his patience and blows up the whole forest. Can you blame the guy? Design-wise, they're just trees with faces on them, but as a collective, they're pretty hilarious. The trees are classic Aqua Teen villains, and for that, I'm placing them in B, right above Glenn Danzig. That's gonna definitely piss off some of you, but trust me, I love these trees a lot. And Revenge of the Trees is just a standout episode and one of my personal favorites. Javier.
Put it back!
God damn it, I may as well change my rule for ranking minor characters because Javier, Dr. Weird's janitor, only appears in the cold openings for Revenge of the Trees and Kidney Car for like a combined total of like 10 seconds, and all he does is clean the floor, and at one point, he attempts to steal Dr. Weird's ice. Did I just call it ice? I gotta go take a walk. We don't know his backstory or personality. We only see him doing his job and ultimately dying by the wrath of taco lasers. I'm putting him in front of Ned Hastings in C. Javier is such a minor character, but he shows up in like 2 episodes, which is more than most, so he's got that going for him. Zach Wylde.
Is milkshake here?
No.
Zakk Wylde, known for his work with Black Label Society, Ozzy Osbourne, and I think he's currently touring with Pantera right now. He's a legend in the musical realm, but seeing him in the episode Spirit's Journey Formation Anniversary is something else. For Miwad's birthday, Jake commissions Zakk and also Geddy Lee from Rush to create a new birthday song to replace Happy Birthday to You. However, Jake can't pay Zakk the money he's owed because he lacks funds. So Zakk shows up to the house extremely pissed off. They eventually head to the abandoned Pizzapotamus building because Jake believes that the song would perform well with a child audience, as if any child is hanging around that place. Long story short, Miwad tries to eat some wires, and the robotic scorpions set to perform with Zakk kill each other and him in the process. Meanwhile, Geddy arrives in his badass bass guitar jet waiting for his royalties. Out of context, what I just said is completely insane. I love how Aqua Teen continues to involve real-world musicians and public figures in the series, allowing them to play exaggerated versions of themselves. It honestly just makes the world feel more alive and full. Zakk looks exactly like his real-life self, and I think he nailed his role. That's why I'm placing him directly in front of Danzig in B. Jimmy Tree Wizard.
Alabama.
Jimmy Tree Wizard, the homeless man who makes his debut in the episode Spirit Journey Formation Anniversary, is, well, I don't know. He's homeless. Oh, he also published the Bible, which is probably the most important religious text in the history of humankind. Jimmy is everywhere. He's appeared in over 10 episodes of the series, which is just insane to comprehend because most of the characters we've ranked so far haven't even been in that many. Jimmy is so iconic despite not doing a whole lot, and honestly, I'm finding it quite difficult to rank him compared to characters like Javier, who have done way less in the series, just because I know what Javier does. You know, he cleans and stuff. Jimmy just kind of hangs around and he dies sometimes. He mumbles his words. You know what? I'm placing him in A, right behind Happy Time Harry. Praise Jimmy. Whatever, you know? Willie Nelson.
I don't think violence solves anything.
Willie Nelson, not the singer, but the spider from the episode The Shaving, is a four-legged, onion-esque looking spider who resides in the attic of the Aqua Teen's house. He enjoys the juice of humans, isn't the best at scaring people, and he constantly shaves. He's a pretty chill character, you know, until the end of his debut episode where he shows off his ability to chug human juice with ease. What I like about Willie is that he's just another character who's always lurking around the neighborhood. He's made loads of cameos, as recent as Anubis and even in Plantasm, albeit without speaking. I love his design, his relaxed demeanor, and how beneath that calm exterior is a killer. He's an S-tier character for me, and I'm placing him right in front of MCP Pants. The Broodwich. The Broodwich, and to an extent, the voice of the Broodwich, are also S-tier characters for me. Look, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. The Broodwich is probably my favorite episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I'm not entirely sure if that's a popular opinion among the fandom, but I just love the concept of a sandwich with
bread forged in darkness from wheat harvested from hell's half-acre and baked by Beelzebub. Mayonnaise made from the evil eggs of a powerful dark chicken beaten into sauce by a one-eyed madman. Cheese boiled from the rancid teat of a fanged cow. 666 meats from an animal with maggots for blood, Dijon mustard, lettuce, and sun-dried tomatoes.
Being cursed. The sandwich makes a few other appearances, such as in the last one, and if you eat the full sandwich, you end up in a horrifying dimension reminiscent of Don Hertzfeld's animation style, full of beings that want to kill you. I guess it's worth noting that the Broodwich also comes in a wrap variant. However, this wrap features vegetarian toppings like
tofu cream and the being genes of the underworld, sliced beets nourished in soil enriched from the decomposing corpses of fondlers and fornicators, pickled in the urine of 1,000 incontinent calico cats, savory tzatziki sauce, the ejaculate of 1,000 orangutans masturbating to a mirrored monolith from space, hummus made from squeezing the demonic pus of the infected backs of deadites, rolled in a tortilla from the peeled skin of a routed jackal, Chipotle kickers for that extra south of the border kick, jackfruit, which tastes like shit even to hippies who pretend to love it, lettuce, and no sun-dried tomatoes.
Because Shake never ate the tomatoes on the sandwich form. Anyways, the Broodwich is definitely an S-tier character for me, and I'm placing it right behind Dr. Weird and Steve. I love the sandwich, it's great, it's fantastic, I want to eat it. Dennis and Mr. Sticks.
Oh, what the
Jerry, no!
Dennis, or Jerry if you will, and Mr. Sticks, the two beings from the freaky dimension Jake is transported to after eating the Broodwich. They only appear in the episode Broodwich, and honestly, I'm pretty bummed out about that. Now, I'm not saying that they're the greatest characters ever or anything, but their one conversation with each other while Shake is just standing there eating the sandwich sold me on them immediately. I would seriously watch a podcast starring these two. Their dialogue and even their character models really remind me of the conversations and designs in 12-Ounce Mouse, which happens to be another one of my favorite Adult Swim shows. Sure, their designs are simple and they don't have a lot of depth to them, but because of their chemistry in that one conversation, I'm putting them in the C tier just above the Mummy. Dumbass Ahedratron and Wisdom Cube.
Hey, how's it going, Wisdom Cube?
The Dumbass Ahedratron and Wisdom Cube are beings that first appear in the episode The Cubing, and, well, at least the Wisdom Cube is supposed to be like the smartest being ever. But I'll be honest, I hate these guys. I think they suck, I think they smell bad, and they're not smart. So the Dumbass Ahedratron is the cousin of the Wisdom Cube, and he loves to talk everyone's ear off, prank call people, and just cause trouble. When his cousin, the Wisdom Cube, shows up towards the end of the episode, he seems cool at first, at least better compared to his cousin, until he drops off a burning bag of turd for Frylock. Eventually, the two cubes get shredded into a million tiny pieces. Now, I know I said I hate these guys. Hate's a strong word, okay? Really, at the end of the day, every one of these characters on this tier list, and the ones we haven't even gotten to, except this guy, make me happy. And The Cubing is one of my favorite episodes ever, but that being said, these two are just inconveniences, and I'm glad they got ripped apart by a helicopter. So I'm putting them in C, right behind Ned. I also went to high school with a guy who was pretty much the human equivalent of the Dumbass Ahedratron, and so I guess every time I see this episode and I see him talking, I get like war flashbacks, and it makes me angry. DP and Skeeter.
Come here.
What's it doing?
So DP, or Donkey Puncher, or Donkey Puncherello, or Donald Baker Schwarzenberg II, and Skeeter, or Zarnold Edward Quigley. What the kind of name is Zarnold? They're the frat aliens who first appear in the episode Frat Aliens before reappearing in the last one, and making several other cameos throughout the series. They even get their own Aqua episode, which is cool. These guys love to drink and party, and crash into spaceships and security systems apparently. And did I mention that they love to drink and party? In terms of DP, his dad owns a dealership, and in regards to Skeeter, he majored in business. Design-wise, they're blue aliens who kinda remind me of the Pokemon Lantern. They rock some unknown fraternity merch and just always look completely blitzed out of their minds, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. I love them. I think they're hilarious. They nail the stereotypical frat boy persona, and I enjoy every second of them being on my screen. So for that, I'm putting them in the A category, just ahead of Jimmy Tree Wizard. Styrohead and Bingo.
Look, I'll handle this bingo.
I'm putting Styrohead and Bingo together because I kinda see them as a pair. Both appear in the episode The Cloning, where they're responsible for giving Carl his luscious locks that ultimately turn him into a clown with some deep underlying issues. Design-wise, Styrohead is pretty simple, you know, just a styrofoam head wig holder with a face. But Bingo? Lord have mercy, Bingo looks badass. I mean, I love his design so much that I kinda want to get him tattooed on my body. Like, he's just sick. He's a floating robot clown head. To be honest, neither of them have a lot of dialogue in their debut episode, and since continuity isn't a thing in Aqua Teen, their mission doesn't really get completed. I mean, their episode ends with a transition to Dr. Weird explaining how the wig works, implying that the events of the episode hasn't happened yet. Or maybe they did. I mean, who really knows? So I'm gonna put both of them in the D category, just above Wayne. They're not the most useless villains ever, and at least one of them looks incredible, but we never see Styrohead again after this episode, and Bingo only reappears once more in the last one, making these two some of the most forgotten characters in the series. The Woman.
That's rockin'.
So, the Aqua Teen characters wiki lists the Woman as a totally different name, but I'm not gonna call her that. The Woman appears in a speaking role in the episode The Clowning, although she is reused in certain backgrounds of episodes in the future. She basically just comes over to Carl's termite-infested house to smoke, drink, and watch him rock and roll with the air guitar. But as soon as she realizes what Carl has become, which is a clown, she runs off, never to return. Design-wise, I think she looks pretty cool, but because she wasn't the main focus of this episode, and there wasn't a whole lot of time to flesh out her character or give her any more background besides being Carl's date, I'm gonna throw her in the D category below Balloonenstein. Turkatron.
Why, that's impossible.
Turkatron, who first appears in the episode The Dressing, is a robot turkey from the future sent back in time to Thanksgiving to save a turkey from the Aqua Teens. This turkey just so happens to be the great-great-great-great-grandpa of Goblox, which is a rebellious turkey leader. Turkatron talks, looks, and tells outrageous stories just like the cybernetic ghost. In fact, at one point in this episode, Turkatron admits to actually being the cybernetic ghost and says that he once visited Carl before realizing Carl girl was a chicken in disguise. But as it turns out, Turkatron is nothing more than a defective robot turkey toy that's currently being recalled. Oh, he also enjoys drinking a lot. Design-wise, he's a robot turkey, and that's pretty badass in my books. Now, I love the cybernetic ghost. He's one of my favorite characters in the series, obviously. And if I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, I also dig Turkatron. I think he's great. Maybe not quite as much as the cybernetic ghost, but just enough. So I'm gonna place him in B, right above the trees. He's a great character, and honestly, I would have loved to see more of him throughout the series. J.
It's the fact that people see us with you.
I probably shouldn't even be ranking this guy. He shows up for like 30 seconds in the episode and does nothing significant. But I want to set an example here for you guys. This is Jay, and he's basically Frylock's new neighbor. He comes over to Frylock's new apartment to tell him to stay far away from his family and kids and that he cannot be seen with him. Now, Jay is basically J. Wade Edwards, who in real life works on Aqua Teen, who is very talented and probably very amazing. However, his character in the series apparently has a problem with certain people or beings, if you will, i.e. Frylock. And we don't tolerate that here at the ZeroOmens YouTube channel. So he's going to the very bottom pits of hell, which is D. But don't get it twisted, okay? There's a character I dislike way more than Jay, but we'll get to him in the future. I'm gonna dedicate a whole ranking Aqua Teen characters video just to the character I hate the most. It's gonna be incredible. Again, real life Jay is probably an incredible person, but this version of him, however, needs to learn a little something about acceptance. George Washington.
Wait, no!
So to wrap up this video, we have George Washington. Yep, the first president of the US of A. Adult Swim, along with Dave Willis and Matt Malero, brought George Washington back from the dead using a transmutation circle. Yeah, they pulled off what Al and Ed couldn't do in Full Metal Alchemist. It was incredible. They live streamed it and everything. You guys couldn't see it though. Alright, so to close out part 2 of ranking every Aqua Teen character, we have George Washington, made entirely out of dollar bills, who appears in the episode The Cloning. He only shows up towards the end of the episode after Frylock and Shake clone too many dollar bills. So George pops his little body out of the cloning machine to give all of us here a quick rundown of the American Revolution before Frylock blows him to bits with a shotgun. So what was the moral of the story of this episode? Well, basically, if you guys ever come across a cloner, clone $20 bills instead of ones because Andrew Jackson wouldn't have given a damn. Design-wise, he's pretty cool. After all, it's George Washington made out of cash. But that's about it. He only pops in at the end of the episode to talk about the revolution and stuff, nothing too wild. So for that reason, I'm putting him above Svetlana and D. Well, we did it again. Those are all of the characters from Season 2 of Aqua Teen that I wanted to rank. If you haven't checked out Part 1 of my ranking of every Aqua Teen character series, I'll leave a link in the bio below if I remember. If you guys enjoyed this video and want Part 3 sooner rather than later, drop a like. Maybe we could aim for 60 likes. Like I said towards the beginning of the video, my ranking is completely subjective. Not everyone will agree with my placement of characters, so again, feel free to share yours in the comments below. Anyways, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new around here. Click the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a brand new video. Follow me on all of my social links and join my Discord server. The links are in the bio below. Have a fantastic day, everyone, but remember to get out of my house.